Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Anna. I'm a little bit spooky, and today we are doing a review and kind of demo situation with the Natasha Denona Hyper Natural Face Palette. I know this isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but you know what excited me about it? The formulas and just something about this. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I needed it. I needed it. I'm a huge fan of Natasha Denona's formulas and her products. And this just, it spoke to me, and I think it is so pretty. So yeah, we're gonna do a whole rundown on this palette, talk about all the details, how it performs on the face, and who I think is best suited for. So yeah, if that interests you, just go ahead and keep on watching. But before you do, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of this Hyper Natural Face Palette. Do you think she should put out more editions? Because I do. I would love to see this in multiple color stories. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Hello guys. All right, let's get started playing with some makeup today and testing and reviewing. This is not my first time using this palette from Natasha Denona, so I do have an opinion on it already, but I have a loose opinion on it already, but I want to kind of put it to the test a little bit more today and create a look with it. So I think that's what is on the agenda. This is the Hyper Natural Face Palette from Natasha Denona, by the way. This retails for $62, and within you do have 3 contour bronze shades, 2 blushes, and 5 eyeshadows in various shades, and a couple of finishes. And you have a lovely mirror, great component. This is a very travel-friendly size and build, like sturdy. No complaints there. It looks really pretty. It kind of matches with the I Need a Nude palette in a way. A little bit reminiscent of it. So, okay. So this is an essential no makeup palette showcasing 5 hybrid eyeshadows. You have a creamy powder, blush duo, and bronzer contour trio. 5 eyeshadows named after different moods and occasions. The talc-free Hyper Silk formula. They have a silky soft gelled powder texture in 4 wearable shades, along with a sparkling topper finish, which is the same formula that is the wet effect formula from the I Need a Nude palette, which is such a good formula that honestly got me most excited about this, is that there was another shade of that. You also have the creamy powder blush duo and a versatile high-tech bronzer and contour trio. This formula supports the skin's ability to maintain its natural hydration as well. So yeah, and the texture of the powders in here, all of them, eyeshadows, bronzer, blush, they do feel very unique and special. Like there is a beautiful, beautiful textures going on in here that are so pretty on the skin. So you have the 2 blushes in pink and coral, which one is kind of more of a baby pink, which surprisingly is very wearable. I'm not a baby pink blushy person. I'm not actually a pink blush person at all. And the coral in here definitely leans a little bit pink as well. But on the skin, they bring out a brightness and a warmth and just a healthiness to the skin. You can wear them together, swirled together. You can wear them separately, individually, or you can kind of do a draping situation with them. They're very versatile in that way. And the shades do look different on the skin. Like you can tell a visible difference on the face and in swatch of what they look like. They're also fairly pigmented. You can build them up and get a lot of oomph from them. So they are a little bit more versatile for multiple skin tones. They have a buildable quality to them. Whereas definitely the bronzer trio side is a little bit more limiting on the skin tone range. But Natasha does show and display this palette on multiple skin tones and how it can work and how you can adapt it, because there's no real strict rules with this palette. That's one thing she kind of emphasizing, that it's called like a contour bronze. It could be used eyeshadows, brightening shade, like whatever works for your skin tone. These are very just kind of use in any way you feel suitable for you, which I kind of like that. And there are the 3 shades that does make it a little more versatile. 3 contour bronze, and they go from a light, medium to tan. They don't run super duper deep, but they are buildable. So you will probably run into a limiting factor here within the bronzers, but they do function beautifully as eyeshadows and any other way. If you're a pale girl like myself, this is a dream face palette for you up to, I think, a fairly deep medium skin tone. You can make this work beautifully. And she does show this on deeper skin tones, I believe, in the on the website. All right, and then we have the 5 eyeshadows, which 4 of are the cream, almost like a cream to powder type of formula. They apply best with a finger, and then you could, or like a stiff brush, and you can definitely blend the edges with a brush. And that is to make them approachable and easy. You can blend them out with your finger very easily as well. I've done that. Definitely have versatility in the application. They are not overly pigmented. They're not super duper strong where you're gonna make a mess with them. They are meant to be very user-friendly, on the go, not have to think type of eyeshadows. They're not eyeshadows that are gonna get away from you and make a mess, but you can build them and get some oomph out of them. And the 4 creamy like textures, the new formulas, which is the shades called Everyday, Statement, Soft, and Casual. They have 0 kick up, 0 drop down, no fallout. They're buildable and they have a silky finish to them, like a satin. They definitely have like a satin formula, but they're not leaning into a metallic, but they're not overly metallic to where it's gonna look like emphasized texture or anything like that. They actually look beautiful all the way up into the crease, no problems there. You don't really need a matte shade with them. They perform beautifully, and as you build them up with a finger or something, the shine in them comes out a little more, and they have a really beautiful sheen to them and pearl that just creates a natural kind of halo eye effect. When you apply them, the light just hits in this gorgeous ethereal way that isn't a glitter or a shimmer or anything like that. It's just this glow that it creates just this natural dimension to the eye, and it looks beautiful. Particularly, I noticed that with the shade Everyday. It is a subtle shade. It is a nice soft brown. On its own, create a beautiful spotlight in the center of the lid and anywhere the light hits, and it just gives this gorgeous soft dimension to the lid, and it's a very wearable everyday color that you don't have to think. This is a truly just a go in, throw the face on palette that takes all the guesswork and confusion out of doing a makeup look. This is just your everyday, I'm in a hurry, I need to get out the door, but I need to look nice type of palette. You can also throw it in your handbag for touch-ups later, add more glam for evening or whatever you want. You have that versatility here. The 5 eyeshadows in here, you have Everyday, which is the medium light brown. You have Dreamy, Sparkly Wet Effect Champagne. Statement, which is a medium dark brown. Soft Rosy Vintage Peach. And Casual Silk Satin Taupe, which is so pretty. We're going to use, I think, Casual today and a bit of Dreamy, and I want to see kind of how glam we can go with the palette. And of course we'll go with the blushes and the bronzers, bronzer contours, and see how they go. Okay, I think I've run my mouth enough about that, so let's go ahead and get it on the face. I already have my face makeup on. All that will be listed and linked below. But let's start with the contours here in the bronzers. I'm going to start with this lightest contour and sculpt out the face a little bit and show you how effective on my skin tone that lightest shade is. So I'm going to take a little e.l.f. brush here. This is a blush, highlighting brush, I believe, from them. Just going with this one because it is fairly small. That is one kind of tricky thing about the palette, is that these are a little bit small, but you can get in there if you have a brush like this that has a little bit of a point on it. Or you can just use a large eyeshadow brush even, if you like a very controlled application, or you can swirl into all 3, or just kind of focus over on like 1/2 of the palette or of the shades, because they can mingle together and work really well. So mainly gonna dip into this lightest portion, and if a little bit of the middle shade gets on there, it's not a big deal. So I'm just kind of sticking right into that part. It picks up on the brush very easily, but you're not going to get any kick up in the pan itself. So I'm going to take this through the hollows. I don't have any contour bronze or anything like that on currently. And I'm just going to apply this in a contour shape. You can see it does start to give some really nice structure to my face. And it's quite effective. or my skin tone. They definitely do have a buildable quality to them. And honestly, that lightest shade here is a perfect sculpting shade for me. And it does offer a little bit of warmth, which is nice. So it's not super gray looking on the skin either. I'm not having to scrub into the product or anything like that, just a couple dabs in and it picks up a great amount without being too much where it's going to go muddy on you. And if the shades blend together too, if you're just going to go in a little haphazard, you're not going to get a muddy mess. Now I'm going to go into the more middle part right here and focus the brush towards that, and it will touch a little bit into the others, but it's fine. But we're going to use this more as a bronzer. So I'm just tapping in and we can bring in a little more warmth, the light hand. This one looks really good on the forehead. And blend this more in a broad application as a just warm kind of wash to bring in that little more sun-kissed look. A little on the nose. And I like to switch over to a smaller brush. That's just personal preference. You don't have to do that. And take the lightest shade on a little eyeshadow brush and come right along the side of the nose. And you could, of course, like just squeeze the tip of the brush to do that. And then I'm going to take some of the contour and come around the eye area and create some lift and structure here. And we dip into the deepest shade in the little contour bronze and come right into the socket area and blend it up and out and into the crease. And this is going to create a nice little transition shade. And again, you can swirl into all three and do this as well. Let's see what happens if I swirl into all three as a bit of a bronze, just to try it. Yeah, it definitely gives me a little more color. Yeah, that looks really nice. Those shades all kind of played well together, and there's not going to be any harsh differences on the face if you just mix and mingle into them and dib dab however you want. I'm going to take a little bit of the deepest one and come under here. Just add a little structure under the eye into the outer corner. And I'm using a little medium sweeper from Sigma for this. Just a little bit more of a focused brush. One thing I do wish she had done was maybe come out with like some dual-ended little brushes that were like travel friendly to go with this palette. I feel like that would have like kind of completed it and done like a little gift set. I don't know, it feels like that would have been appropriate. Ones that are made to fit into the pans, and I don't know, I just feel like that would have been a nice thing to do. From a marketing perspective, I would have enjoyed that as a consumer. Especially for like, what was this, $60 something palette. You know, wouldn't have been mad at that. Okay, now I'm going to take the blush shades. I'm going to start with the lightest one so you can see how that looks on its own. And clean my little e.l.f. brush off here. I'm going to take this lightest baby pink looking blush. Again, just a very smooth feeling formula. And pop that onto the cheeks so you can just see what a fresh look this gives. And what a lovely shade of pink it is. And it doesn't go muddy Neapolitan looking when it blends into the bronzer. It just really gives a nice pink vibrancy to the face, a little bit of youthfulness, if you will. It's a very brightening type of shade. And you know, I don't really have a blush like that in my collection, so it's nice to have. And you can not have to worry about over applying or it being too much. You can just kind of go in and it's fine. It just flows onto the skin beautifully. All right, now I'm going to take the more coral shade right here and apply a little bit more to the backs of the cheeks, a little bit higher up, and kind of a draping placement. And you see a lot picks up on this one. It is pretty pigmented. So tap just a little bit off and just come right up here with it. So you can get a little bit more warm, corally flush blended in. And then swirling into both makes a really pretty shade as well. You're just gonna get the best of both worlds. I like applying it like this and just that draping placement because I just think that suits my face shape well. And I always bring a little bit up to the forehead and around. I just think it looks pretty to do that when the blush just isn't on the cheeks, but it's on other parts of the face as well. It just feels a little bit more cohesive. And this shade does pack a little bit of impact. You can definitely build this shade up and get a lot from it. So yeah, the blushes in here are pretty versatile. I'm gonna take a little bit, like a combo of both, and just hit a little on the nose, a little up here. It's for a very blushy look. And then we can take some on the blending brush, take a little bit of the deeper coral, and come around this outer portion of the eyelid, brow bone, come where we put the transition. Let a little bit of that flow in. I think it looks very nice. And this gives a very kind of a natural look to the makeup where you don't really know where anything is stopping and starting. It just all kind of flows together. And at this point, you could take any of the eyeshadows in here or any combination of them and have a beautiful look that's just gonna work seamlessly. I've done combos of the brown shades and this one, these three, in various ways, and it has all come out just pretty, and there is differences within the looks. They're not all exactly the same. You can go a little more smoky with this shade, softer with this one. You can add that pop of sheen with this one and kind of sparkle. Or you can just take the sparkly shade and go across the lid and have this beautiful like wet lid look that is, I absolutely love. Or you can go into more of this peachy pink shade here, which is definitely more peachy than pink. I think it just reads pink on camera, but it definitely has a warm peachy undertone, and it looks so, so pretty. So pretty, just all over the lid or in the transition, kind of blending up. Like a combo of it with just these blushes is the prettiest monochromatic look. But today we're going to take Casual, which is the deepest cool tone shade in the palette. This is like described as a taupe. So we're going to take that, and I'm going to start with my finger because that's the way Natasha recommends applying these. So they do feel similar to like a, not quite as moussey or anything as a ColourPop Super Shock shadow, but there is definitely a creaminess to them, but they're not like a cream eyeshadow. They just pick up really well with the finger. And I'm just going to take this all over the lid, and let's see how smoky we can get, just as a challenge. Because we know we can do every day with this palette. That's a given. But I want to see like what you could do for like an evening, or if you're just somebody who likes a little more intensity with their makeup like myself. Like I love the I Need a Nude because I can create this soft look but still give it a little bit of drama. And this palette definitely lends itself to that feel. And this is a really pretty shade. Like it's not gray. It is a gray, well, it's grayish, but it definitely has that brown in there, that taupiness that grounds it so it doesn't look so abrupt on one skin tone. And I'm just gonna blend that kind of up into the crease a bit with my finger. And you could definitely blend this totally with your finger if you're good at that. I'm not good with doing that with the fingers. I'm just not. It's not my forte. But a lot of people do. And I mean, and you can. These do lend themselves really well to that. So what I'm going to do now is take the fluffy brush that I was using earlier. It's a Sigma diffuse crease. And with that same shade on the brush, I'm just going to bring it through the socket and crease and just soften those edges out, because you will get a softer application with a brush and you can really diffuse the shades. And how nice is that? More of a satin effect, applying it with the brush that can function really well into the crease and socket. without emphasizing any texture. And it's very easy to diffuse. These might be the most user-friendly eyeshadows I've ever come across. And even, let's take it on this medium sweeper and see how that does. If you don't like using a finger, you can definitely use a brush like this that's a little bit densely packed, kind of a lay down brush. And it functions just as well as a finger, honestly. I don't see too much difference in impact. It looks virtually the same. But see how these have kind of a little bit of a wet sheen to them, but they're not metallic. There's a softness to them. But the more you build them, the more of that pearl will come out. I think I would describe them as like pearly. And really, you can truly do one and done looks and call it a day and call it good. But see how pretty that shade flows into like the transition, everything with the bronzer. It just works. This is one of those palettes that just works and is very user friendly. It would be really cool to see multiple color stories in this format. So she's done face palettes before, but they've never really piqued my interest the way this one did. And it was mostly the talk of the formula that drew me in. I think this would be really pretty if we took a touch of the shade Soft, which is our vintage rosy peach or whatever she called it. We can take a little bit of that and just run it right here on the soft little diffuse crease brush and get just a hint of that in there. That can look really nice. It just gives this very soft glow. Again, zero fallout. So that is definitely a fantastic selling point for an everyday palette that you're just going to reach for just to be in a hurry, that you can trust and rely on, is it not having fallout. And being able to be kind of haphazard with it and not have to worry about making a mess. I'm the world's worst at making a mess with eyeshadows. I get them from one end to the other. If you've watched my videos, you know, you've seen my cleanup process I do. Because I just get in there and I go to blending and then sort it out later. I'm not one of those super neat, tidy people in application. I make a mess before it comes together. But yeah, that looks so pretty. There's almost like a little bit of a purple in that casual shade. Like a hint of a lilac in there and that kind of a taupe tone. It makes it very pretty. And I do think the eyeshadows can be effective on multiple skin tones. So that won't be the limiting factor. It's going to be more so just those bronzer shades. Because I think you could even use the blushes regardless of your skin tone. Because they are quite buildable. I'm going to take a little bit of this on the outer corner of the eyes. The same casual shade with my little medium sweeper. I'm just going to make sure it's focused on one side of the brush. And we can take it right here. You could definitely do a really pretty smoky liner look, I think, with this shade. Like laying a little bit of a gray or black liner down first and then blending it out with this. That could be very pretty. And there you go. You could stop there, have a beautiful look. You could apply this a little bit more softly for just something a little more restrained if you want to. I wanted to build it and kind of see where it could go. And you could use any combination of these other shades to add in and blend and do whatever. You can. There's a lot of just room, a little bit of room to play with this palette that I think is a little unexpected. Now we're going to take the shade Dreamy, which is the gorgeous Wet Effect Champagne, and I want to put that on the center of the lid. So I'm just going to take a little bit with my finger and pat it right in the middle, lightly. And this just gives the most beautiful sparkle. And you can definitely build this one up and get even more impact from it. And just like to tap a little bit on there and let it be or just a glow or just a wash of sparkle. I think it looks very pretty and can look super sophisticated, not too much. And of course it applies really well with the brush if you wanted to. Just tap it on like that. No problem. And you can apply this one really as a full impact or as more of a topper and get a bit more of that sheer wash, and it can pair beautifully with any of the other shades to add a little extra glimmer to them. I like that aspect of the palette, that The 4 shades can function virtually as a matte satin soft metallic, and then you can add that shade in to really get it to have that impact to it. And just looks really pretty for day-to-day, even evening. It can look beautiful. We can take a little bit on the inner corner as well. And get a nice glow in there. And you could dust the shade on the cheekbones to get a bit of a highlight from it if you wanted to. My opinion, it's a little glittery for that. It's not the formula that I really want to put on my cheeks, but you could do that. That is an option. But you could take Soft, the vintage peach, and put that on the cheeks also. That would actually look pretty. And yeah, there we go. Just a really pretty soft eyeshadow look. It's an effortless look. It doesn't look like I spent all day on this and super intricate. It just looks like it's an effortless, pretty, almost looks like a lot of what you see more on like celebrities on red carpets and stuff, that more effortless glam. It's not Instagram makeup. It's more of a classic, just pretty look. Now I will sit here all day talking to you and putting eyeshadow on. So at some point I gotta tell myself, okay, stop it. Because I just enjoy the process of doing this. To finish off the look, I'm gonna put on a little bit of eyeliner in the tight line, just at the lashes, and some mascara. And then we will be back for the final look. Okay, and here's the look all finished with the Hyper Natural palette from Natasha Denona. I just threw some lipstick on. This is Charlotte Tilbury 90s Pink and Valentino mascara. And a little bit of black liner just in the tight line, very, very tight. And yeah, here's how we're looking. Very pretty. I feel like the more you wear it, the more it just kind of like starts to feel like it's one with the skin. Like there's something so natural about the textures and the formula in here. They feel skin-like in a way. It's very interesting. It just feels like they belong on your face. It's a very refined formula. It's how expensive makeup should perform. It really is. And is this the most exciting palette? Of course not. It is relatively boring. And is it something that like the makeup collector connoisseur that likes more extravagant makeup is going to enjoy? No, this is not. This is a bit more of a niche product. I think it's for the everyday person who isn't the makeup enthusiast necessarily, that isn't somebody who has a massive collection. This is for somebody who just wants to look pretty on the day-to-day and go to work and go about their day. I just want something to look pretty on the day-to-day as they go about their normal life and look put together and refined and like they took the time and effort to do the makeup, when really it's a very minimal effort, minimal time that you'll spend doing a look with this palette. Is such a user-friendly formula. It is the most user-friendly formula I've ever put my fingers on. Like, you don't have to think with this palette. You can just put it on and you're set, and it looks like you put more thought into what you did that day, if that makes sense, without looking like you're trying too hard. There's a refinement to this palette, but it's beautiful. And that's who I would recommend this for, is for the people who just want to do their makeup and get out the door and they don't want fussy. They don't want to take an hour in the morning to get ready. They got 5 minutes. This is for you. And it looks absolutely beautiful. It looks like you put super high-end makeup on your face. It looks expensive in the finish, the formula, the experience, everything about it. It's an A+ all around for that. Now, that being said, I don't think everyone's going to absolutely love this palette. It really depends what you have in your collection, the kind of mentality you have towards makeup. Are you somebody who does like to take that extra time, like myself, that really will sit down there and play for hours and make the time to do that? This probably is not going to be for you, but this does have a place in my makeup collection and routine, because I do also like the easy makeup on the day-to-day. I don't go full glam every single day. I like to just slap something on and get out the door a lot of the time. And when I'm filming, that's usually another situation. You just want something that looks pretty. And you just want to be able to go run your errands, go to lunch, go to dinner, whatever. And have something that just looks good that you can trust that's not going to let you down. That's where this comes in. I do think there is a little bit of a limiting factor with skin tone here as far as the bronzers go, which, girl, that is my complaint with just about every face palette. I wish that she had just done a deeper edition just with the bronzers, just like some deeper, darker shades there. That being said, I think that you could actually find a function for these in maybe an eyeshadow capacity or in a different way, which she does talk about doing. The blushes, I think, are going to work on multiple skin tones because they are pigmented. Even though the shade looks super light, it's going to give a really brightening effect on a deeper skin tone. And the coral shade's going to work. It's going to look beautiful. And the eyeshadows will work fine across the board, I think. So yeah, if this is something that feels like it fits into your lifestyle, your budget, your everything, your day-to-day life, I don't think you'd be disappointed. And don't let the pink blush scare you either. It's not so pink. And I go heavy-handed with my blush, so keep that in mind. You could always go a little bit lighter hand with things and tailor it to what you like. But yeah, a good palette all around, 10 out of 10 if you ask me. And functionality, 100%. So yeah, that is all for today. Thanks for hanging out with me and creating a look and talking all about the Natasha Denona Hyper Real palette. Hyper Natural. I keep wanting to call it Hyper Real. What is Hyper Real? That's another makeup product, isn't it? Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and stay spooky. Also, let me know your thoughts on this palette down below. All right.